Hello, Culture Matters podcast. Before we talk about the New Year's Eve Lollapalooza 2025 with my guest for the day, here's a quote just for this podcast. You must be ready to burn yourself in your own flame. How could you become new if you haven't first become ashes? Friedrich Nietzsche. Today I'm joined by one of my co-hosts for the New Year's Eve Lollapalooza 2025, which if you haven't yet listened to, go start right after this episode. You'll want to, I'm sure. Jenna Silverman joined me around, I believe it was joined us at 5 p.m. The Culture Matters podcast, New Year's Eve Lollapalooza, which started at 5 a.m. on December 31st, 2025, and went every 45 minutes, one after another, different groups, different past guests of the Culture Matters podcast that all have been on the show at least once, many of them twice, six times, some even more than 20 times. Joined by Mike Calhoun, founder, board of advisors, majority of the day. Jenna joined us from 5 to close. And today I wanted to ask you, Jenna, some of your thoughts from my favorite day of the year, the New Year's Eve Lollapalooza. So you came in at 5 p.m. Who was on that with us, actually, now that I'm thinking?
Um, it was Mike, Brad,
No,
uh,
5 p.m., not 6.
oh, Tom Bovey, Mike, um, Tom Bovey, Mike, um,
Oh yeah, Glenn Campbell.
Glenn Campbell, um, there was like one or two more. Um, I don't remember exactly, but there was one or two more.
Oh yeah, well, sorry to
Oh,
throw that on you.
Hector from Naples. Yeah.
Yeah, Hector, who you just met. I mean, that was the first time you were meeting him, actually.
No, I met him at Oak and Stone.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Of course. 2 seconds, but yeah.
Yeah, but
Dr.
I
Yerkes.
Yeah,
David
Dr.
Yerkes.
Dirk really loved what he had to say. He's really smart. He's so
What stood out? Yeah, what stood out of what David talked about?
um you can tell that he's got really strong core values. He definitely has like a love for medicine, and um he also has a love for, like, his newer venture with medicine. But he said there's no way that I would ever stop working in hospitals, even now that his company, on the more concierge side, is kind of booming, and good for him for that. He was also really like humble about everything that he's building. And I really loved his um competence, and I loved his he was thoughtful in his answers, and just thoughtful in how he spoke. Intentional, but not in a manipulative way.
You watched, you were part of the latter half of the day, which is tremendous. I mean, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're talking about at least, if not 2 dozen, close to 2 dozen people.
Hmm.
What stayed with you?
The coolest thing that I realized, well, first of all, I was very emotional in all the episodes, which I'm, those of you who know me know that I'm fast to cry about things because I am an emotional being. But well, okay, so I didn't know really what you were going to ask me until 30 seconds ago. So let me just try to gather my thoughts. But okay, so thought one is, I think, and by the way, I'm also editing all of the episodes, so I'm also listening to all of them. So it kind of feels like I was a part of all of them because I know a lot of the people that you had on. So it was just a beautiful experience. But one thing I will say, for the first and foremost thing that stood out to me is the strategy behind, and I don't know if it was strategy or if it was just luck, but I'm guessing it was a strategy. The strategy behind placing these people in the same space together was absolutely some of like the best collaborative work I've ever seen anywhere. And obviously, just for context, like we do events, we do strategic conversations with people, we put people in rooms, you make introductions. There's all these things that Culture Matters does for our client partners and for, these new products that we're launching. But like some of these people have never met each other, don't know who each other are, don't know, what each other does. And it was the perfect symbiotic thing. Like people are going to have these relationships forever now because of you and because of Culture Matters. And that is like definitely what stood out to me first. And made me, partly why I was emotional.
The 5 p.m. I want to get Hector Glenn Campbell. So Hector Sanchez, amazing consultant, background in management, engineering, just a kind soul. Glenn Campbell, co-founder of Hat World, that acquired Lids at a bankruptcy and turned it into this one of the most powerful brands in U.S. history from a apparel retail standpoint for sure. He's just unbelievable culture guy. Tom Bove, who's been freaking Bove. Oh my, did I just say Bove? He's gonna kill me. I love that. It's live. I've known, it sounds like I've known him for 7 minutes, but we've known him for years. 10-year relationship. Was an early client, like has changed our lives in so many ways. Just a love, support. David, who I met in Brad's office. Brad was on the next session. The one and only, the real Bradley. Like, what's a theme
They're
from
all
your
consultants. I mean,
standpoint?
they're all consultants. They all help each other. They all help. I'm sorry, they don't all help each other. They all help people do something specific. Like Tom in the technical side, Hector in the business foundational side, David Yerkes in the, Dr. Yerkes in the medical side. Um, and Mike in the, Mike Calhoun in the entrepreneurial side, you in the culture side, me in the culture side. It just every single person on that call was somehow a consultant. Um, the episode that I listened to with Gray Wilson, which is I think going out tomorrow. Gray Wilson, Judd, Robert Freehafer, all like home service type people, right? Like, if you need your driveway done or if you need your parking lot done, cool, you got Judd. If you need your roof done, your siding done, you got Robert. And if you need to place somebody in the house once it's all done, you got Gray. Like there's just there was just, and you wouldn't think about it because, Gray and Judd like make no sense, but no, they make so much sense. Like, and so, kind of, it's funny, like watching the first part of everybody come on, I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then I started listening to everybody talk and I was like, oh, this is genius. It's brilliant. Makes sense. So that's definitely
It's,
what stood out first.
that's really powerful because, yeah, I'd like to make a point for the audience. There's always more than meets the eye when it comes to human beings,
It's a
when
great
it comes to relationships. Six
Mm-hmm.
degrees of separation means that I know someone that knows 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 someone that's connected to anyone in the planet.
Yeah.
6 degrees of separation. So when you say, we think about Gray, well, Judd owns real estate in Anguilla, building a huge real estate empire,
Right.
and he's taking the charge of it. Gray's like an
But
unbelievable real
many people
estate.
don't know that about Judd just from what he does, right? You know that, which is why you like probably part of the reason why that made sense. But nobody knows that until Judd says, oh, and I'm also working on real estate. And my son, who's 26, is running the company and this, that, and the other. And now there's way more reason for Gray to meet Judd and his son based on, everything that they're doing. So anyway, it's just interesting. Another thing that stood out was like God, like the faith-based, the want, the desire to be a steward for 2026, the desire to create more choices. The word choice was very prevalent throughout the day. Um, it was so cool that for the ones that I was on, I haven't listened to all of them yet because they're not all edited yet, but the ones that I was on, I did listen to. And one of the things that stood out to me for those 5 or whatever that I was on was it was almost like a continuation of the previous episode when nobody would have known that. Some of the words were the same, some of the goals were the same. And so that was something else that really stood out. It just another testament to you, Jay, that like your network is in such alignment. Your repeat guests of the show are in alignment with our core values, like they're, and if they're not in alignment with all of them, they're in alignment with one of them or 4 of them or 2 of them. And that stood out to me. Another thing that stood out to me was like a lack of ego. It's not like, look, I'm a woman, so maybe my perspective is a little bit different, but it's not every day that you get men who are mostly founders and or CEOs and or entrepreneurs and or all 3, to kind of sit together for 45 minutes, who some have no idea who each other is. Some are a little bit more dominant than others. Some are a little bit more powerful than others. You got you and Mike kind of leading the day. And you 2 are forces, right? So it's not every day that you can see a bunch of grown men who all have an ego in a good way that, it took to start a business and take risk and maybe spend all their money because they needed to for their business, kind of put their egos aside and listen to each other and comment and build with each other. So that really stood out to me. And I thought that was really special. I can go on and on. I mean,
Do you recall any from last year?
well, I mean, I last year. So yeah, last year was a little bit different. There was like less people on some of them. 1 or 2 of them I know had like a bunch, but I think more so than not, there was like 3-ish people on. So like Andrew Berman last year really stuck out to me, and he really stuck out to me this year too. I just love your relationship with Andrew Berman. I think he was like really, he made me emotional last year. He made me emotional this year. I think like his growth and what he's done in his life and like how he talks about it is really special and works for accountability and works for what his words were, which was accountability. And so that one stuck out to me. Obviously the one with Brad and Mike stuck out to me. One thing that stuck out to me was interesting. So you had mentioned in the beginning of the episode, I'm going to try not to get emotional. You had mentioned in the beginning of the episode with Glenn, Mike, me, like Tom, David, Yerkes, and Hector, that one of the reasons why you do this is because of the people that we've lost. And John Schwartz, Kevin Delory, I'm not sure if there's anybody else, but then Glenn Campbell went on to talk about himself because he was asked about his story. And he was saying how entrepreneurship feels alone sometimes, but sometimes that's what you want to feel like, because sometimes you just need that peace and quiet to think. And he had said that on April 8th was his birthday. And he went and just kind of went to think about what that loneliness felt like. And on April 8th is the day that Kevin Delory died. And so you saying that in the beginning of the episode and then him explaining like being lonely and being in a point of his life where he needed to go think about what he was going to do next as a 60-year-old man. I'm in my head like, wow, like if Kevin had that opportunity on April 8th to go somewhere and think about what he wanted to do versus what he was doing, it just was like a very interesting full circle moment for me based on what you had said in the beginning of the episode, what he had said, the date, everything. It was just like really strange. So that stood out to me. Perspective is everything, I guess, in that capacity. Um, just like how you and Mike got warmed up in episode 1 was really special for me to watch. You know, don't be a dud stuck with me a lot.
How about your word?
My word, my word for 2026 or 2025.
6.
Oh, my word for 2026 is surrender.
Were there any episodes that was more heightened?
My my ability to surrender was more heightened, or
No,
that
like the word.
conversation. Yeah, I mean, I think the episode with Brad and Mike and Fabi,
Bobby, I mean,
yeah, I think that it was definitely prevalent there. Around the choice that you can't if you're not where you want to be, or if you're not doing what you want to do, then that was your choice, because you choose to do or don't. And so I think that like that was something that Brad had said, and he has said that before, and I've listened to him say that before. But that I think is relevant to surrendering, to kind of like figuring out that choice. The episode with Jonathan Haddad and Joe Silva and Bill Ryman was just like very like vulnerable, and talked a lot about surrendering, I think, especially Jonathan with that poem, and um with the poem If, and kind of listening to all the perspectives of like Jonathan and Bill with younger kids and Joe with older kids. So yeah, that was definitely one that it stuck out in for me.
how about when Jonathan took stock of he he didn't he knew his word from the last year was acta, and he acknowledged that he didn't complete.
Yeah. Man, Jonathan's great. I just love him. I love him as a person. I said this on the show. I've known him for 2 years now, and I've really been friends with him for 1 year. And being his friend has made my life better. So like I love him. I love him. I love his truth. I love his honesty. Um, I like him a lot. He's had shots fired at him for a long time in the positions that he's in. And obviously, bringing us back to choice, like he knew what he was getting himself into. But like, man, I got to give it to him. I don't think a lot of people would survive the way that he has in that role.
When you think about Brad's journey from scale to unrecognizable to choice live,
Yeah. Yeah. And he also threw change in there, I think, because he was kind of working through that. Listen, Brad is the perfect example of somebody who understands themselves and like also wants the best for everyone else simultaneously. And sometimes those things I think cross wires, because of the choices that we all make. But he drops bombs, no pun intended. Everything that comes out of that man's mouth, everybody should take a lot of notes on, I think. He's lived a lot of life. He's done a lot of great business. He said what really stood out to me that he said was that whenever he's around you, it makes him think more clearly. And I mean, what a beautiful thing to say, one. And two, um, I think everybody feels that way. So I love that he said that because like I think that was a trend on the show. Like a lot of people gave you that credit because you've helped so many people articulate their thoughts about what they believe in so much clearly. And that was such a beautiful thing to hear, not only as your wife, but just kind of as somebody who's, worked with you and like worked with you in the field with Brad. And that has been interesting. But yeah, his delineation of choice and scale and unrecognizable, I think was another word that he had, was powerful.
If you put a word for each, the five, the six, what encapsulate the theme of each one?
Like together, the
Just first, with Glenn and Tom and Hector and David and Mike and you and me, like for five, what theme do you put on that episode?
yeah. Servant leadership.
How about the 6 o'clock with Ant and Marchie and Fabi and Benny Fisher and Brad
Yeah,
Lee and
Benny
Mike
was
and
good.
you and me?
Impact. Impact. Um, I think the general theme from everybody there was like everybody wants to change something about what they're doing right now. I think probably that's every human in the world, but that theme on the podcast was very like, and Anthony Marachi talked about how he wanted to make this year about more relationships, and Fabi talked about how he wanted to, make an impact in his business, and Benny talked about how he wanted to get clear on, the next, his back nine of his life, right? Like what the next 40 years of his life and what that looks like from helping people. And Brad wants to, be unrecognizable in every aspect of his life. So, impact, I think, was the word that would come to me for that one.
How about Michael Alasso and Joseph Iredell?
Oh my God, what an amazing episode that was. I love Michael Lasso and I really enjoyed Joe. I don't know him. I know you like him a lot, so that's cool. Talent. I mean, that would be the word for that one. God, Michael Lasso. Um, yeah. Not many people um are like him. He's one of a kind.
I want to make sure I take a note of that. Jen's words for each session. You said 5 o'clock was servant leadership,
Mm-hmm.
like a theme.
Yeah.
And you said 6 p.m. was impact.
Yep.
And you're saying talent for 7 p.m.
Yeah, for
as
sure.
a theme encompassing. So
Yeah.
each one has their own words. And I love how you had the idea to put the words in the titles because that'll help
Yeah.
people. Because one thing Brad did mention was how, oh, I better change my word from scale to unrecognizable because Jay is going to write this down and hold me accountable. Because his last year was like action, and I think that is important. It is important to write down the words and to remember the words and to talk about them. So because what is accountability? It's it's the feedback loop of responsibility. How responsible have I actually been? My word was intensity last year, and I had to act it out so I can get to love. So I like how each person has their words from the year before and the year moving ahead of them. But I'm loving your theme of I'm gonna keep track of that too. The theme that you observed. I'd be curious of everyone's theme of each conversation and where there's crossover. What about 8 p.m.? That was with Joe Silva and Jonathan Haddad, you and me. What theme
Mm,
would you put for that?
deep.
Why?
I mean, those guys were so vulnerable with each other. You would have thought that they've been best friends for 20 years. I mean, seriously, I felt so, I think I said this on the episode. I felt so like honored to be a part of that conversation. Um, Maybe honor is a better word than deep. I think those three men, and I know Bill and Jonathan well, I do not know Joe. Those three men exuded to me a a very special trait that not everybody has in life.
And we ended the day with Glenn Yopes,
Mm,
Mark Perkins. Glenn Yopes been uh, I call him an executive coach, a leader in thought, become a friend of the Culture Matters podcast. He works very deeply with the real Brad Lee. I think he might be one of his oldest friends, at least in the last 2 decades. He was on last year. He closed the year out with me, Brad, and Mike Calhoun. And Mark Perkins, who was introduced to me by a friend of the Culture Matters podcast, Phil Treadwell, who wasn't with us this year, but I met Phil through Christine Beckwith and Andrew Berman, one of them or both of them, years ago. Mark Perkins founded Pivot Realty, one of the hardest working people I've ever met in my life.
yeah, Mark. That episode was cool. Um, that episode was fast, right? Like it was fast
Oh,
moving. I don't know if that's the word that I would sum it up with, but it felt very, these people that were on that call to me were uh doers. Um, I think if anything, Glenn was probably a little bit more of the less gas, a little bit more brake. But you know, because he was trying to kind of uncover some things, I think, and also like layer some things in. Like he was being what he does, which is, he was listening and I think you and him were kind of tag teaming it a little bit too, which was really fun to watch. I like Glenn a lot. I don't know him, I just know about him. So like that was my first time meeting Glenn in any scenario ever. But I've heard about Glenn from you for years. I've heard about Glenn from Brad, from Melissa, just everything. So
what would be your word to theme it, to put a theme?
like action probably is that the you know everybody wanted to help each other, everybody wanted to kind of like weigh into each other, like there was it just Glenn, Bill, and Mark, or was there a fourth person?
Did Bill Ryman close the day out with us?
Yeah, it was Bill, Glenn, and Mark, but who?
Bill, Bill Ryman?
Yes, Bill Ryman.
Just so the audience knows, I actually don't know the full tally of the day because we had two people sick, like sick, and then some people came. I think it's 70, but it may be 68 or 71. So it's a lot of people I haven't memorized though but yeah, you're right. Bill Ryman. Um,
I feel like there was another person on there. And I feel bad that I don't remember them.
No, yeah, it was Glenn
Glenn.
and
Hmm.
Bill and Mark. Yeah, that was it. No, there was supposed to be. We had some, like I said, some emergency, like some real others were going to come. It's hard to close the day out. But that yeah, it was why do you think people show up on New Year's Eve for this?
Um, why do I think people show up on New Year's Eve for this? I don't know. I because of how valuable you are to them in their life. Because of how um you guys have been uh you've been friends with some of these people for, like you said, like a decade. Um, yeah. I mean,
Would you be willing to come back and talk about it when you're done listening to all the episodes?
yeah.
I'd be curious of your notes and analysis
I mean,
and
I've already listened to one, two, three, and four.
you were part of four, so that's eight, so it's almost half.
Oh,
It's about
I wasn't part
45% of the day. There's 17.
I wasn't part of four.
5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So 5. 5 p.m. to the close.
So I think you have your
5.
math wrong because there were
There's
17
7.
episodes.
Yeah,
Oh,
17 total. So if you listen to
I
4,
came in at like 12 or 13 because you started at 5 a.m. and I didn't join you until episode 13.
I
Remember?
know. No,
Yeah.
we're on the same page.
Oh, I
You,
thought you said you were a part of four. Sorry.
yeah, well, 5, 5. You participated in 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock,
Right.
eight
This is
o'clock, and
episode
nine
number
o'clock.
13. Yeah, 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 yeah. So,
And you've listened to the morning 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., right?
yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so there's a pretty significant amount. There's enough that you haven't that there it's almost like having been there, the hero's arc of this day is unbelievable. If the listeners are in your position where they've only been in a few, or like they've only listened to a few, or they started in the bat at the end and they went back to the beginning, this series won't make sense without the middle.
Oh, yeah. Please don't watch the beginning without the middle and the middle without the end and the end without the beginning. I can already tell that.
No, well, I think that's projection. I
No, I'm just saying I can already I'm agreeing with what you're saying. I can already tell that having participated at the end and having only watched the beginning, I'm assuming that the middle is gonna be really great. I can't wait. Like I don't want to miss it, is what I'm saying.
um any final thoughts?
No, I think like I can't believe how tired were you after?
I was a little annoyed that I didn't go till 12 a.m., that my co-host has a life that they're committed to, which is that's a paradox because they wouldn't be a great co-host if they didn't have the life that they had that would leave them to leave before 12 a.m. So that was, and I guess I mean that I was talking about Michael, but I think in a deeper sense you too, because so I have two co-hosts. I thought it was cool that we tag team where it was like, wrestlers, you kind of tagged each other and then you came in to close it out. Um, I wanted to record the 20 that day. We did 17. We did 15 the year before. Um, so that, I've been hard on myself about that.
Mm.
Tired. I was awake. I was very, very awake. Um, and then, yeah, but yeah, I'm proud of what we've accomplished. I, I have to stop lowering my standard to appease other people
Mm.
because I haven't really even shown anybody what I'm capable of, you included,
Mm.
because I constantly repress myself not to upset or offend or potentially make others feel less than because there's a lot of head trash with that. So I wasn't tired at all. I was excited. I need to do more of this because people out there, for myself and ultimately I'm gonna help a lot more people if I'm more. So I was I yeah, I wasn't tired. More frustrated than anything.
Mm.
I think if I could do a better service for everyone if I let more people come next year. I think
Mm.
there's a lot of people that I let down because, I didn't invite them and they might feel sad and, like felt left out.
Did
And
you not invite anyone because they weren't yet a guest and that was the qualifier, or
I'm talking about listen, we have 345 guests of the show, lifetime.
right?
So, I invited those that I within my awareness that I thought really made sense for the day, but as a growing leader, I think with greater awareness would come greater more people that I would see be like, oh, if you have a playground, there's a couple people that are on the swing alone because somebody didn't ask them to play with everybody else. And then there's some people that are swing alone because, they were kicking everybody
Hmm.
when they were supposed to be playing. Like, so, but
They're not invited back.
there's plenty of
So,
people that
yeah, my
were
question to
just left
you is
out.
what is the goal for 2026, 27 Lollapalooza so that we have it in speech?
I don't, I haven't taken adequate time to reflect and follow what I don't have a factual one I could give. I could say is better. And that I don't want to give a BS answer. Like, is that quality? Is it quantity? Is it a mixture? Is it less? I don't know.
Well,
Like, how do you even measure that? I guess I just, in the spirit of what I just said about feel like I missed out on people. I'd like a clear, more clarity around that I know I left it all on the table. Like I invited everyone that I wanted to. Oh, here's an easy goal. Yeah, to go to 12 a.m. I mean, start. I'd like to do it 24 hours, and I'd like it to be live, and I'd like more less friction around making intros after on email and or the group. So we'll figure that out because it's very important that people that have developed relationships together that make new friends that are meaningful and have meaningful dialogue that can have trusting relationships that really could make a tangible impact on their life and their business that they connect smoothly after. So the lower the friction there and increase the speed there is definitely something top of mind. And as one goes through the episodes, they'll still see me and Mike evolve and improve and get better as we go and move from more skills and capacities to meaning and values and back and inner they'll actually see us get better as we go and integrate
mm,
skills and object like and capacities and capabilities, the what and hows of business and of people and their careers and their backgrounds what they
Love that.
do, how they do it, why they do it, and who they are, why they started their business, what they believe in, what they value, what they don't. There's a beautiful integration that's happening throughout the day that by the time we got to you, it was like a perfect, like when you came in at 5, it was really a perfect admixture. In the beginning of the day, I wanted to give ample space for, I believe it's my role as the host and listener of everyone over years that's creating that space of safety, psychological safety, and openness and curiosity to step out of the way and just listen and not be the one even asking questions or talking. I'm giving space for someone that, owns one of the most successful communities in the world, especially in America, for sure, who's a professional facilitator, leader, coach, consultant, advisor to the advisors, giving them a space to step in and reveal their core genius to our listeners, who's a client who gave me the, honored us with the opportunity to actually help them level up their leadership abilities and help them with their business scale and business growth and business. We did a culture buzz on, like, giving them space to actually step into their leadership on our platform. You see me 6 a.m. to about, noon, just, yeah, noon, halfway into the noon session, really just giving space, listening, silence, and non-interruption, uh, which is a part of executive management. It's I'm trying to teach with by action.
Mm,
And there's an executive leadership course implicit in this whole day. You Because we're if you really look back and understand this day, you have a founder, one of the top in the country at what they do in community, facilitating the first half of the day, simultaneously honoring our platform, me as host, founder of Culture Matters, advisor to them.
mhm.
That takes an unbelievable amount of humility, trust, humility on their part, trust in our brand, trust in our culture, trust in me as an advisor. Like, there's so much emotion and trust and meaning and relationship wrapped up in this show from
Yep.
5 a.m. until 10 p.m. It's really, I'm very proud. It's like a work of art, watching the whole day unfold, seeing all the relationships, understanding all the nuances, see the connections that are happening in real time. So that the audience knows just about everyone is a stranger to one another. And
Yep.
so this has been years in the making. Over 3,000 hours I've invested in this podcast, from preparation,
And
execution of episodes, and post. So this is 3,000 hours in the making. And I don't know anyone that has done anything near this. So my hope is that we can example other people to use shows in this way, to actually curate relationships with other human beings. Is not just one host and a million followers that just follow and hang on to their every word like some cult.
hmm yeah, no, it's special. It's very special. And um, I think your answer alone, just of that one question of like what's your goal for next year, shows how special it is, because it's not just something that you want to answer right away. And I get that. So excited to see how it evolves. And
I don't think even the I don't think you even or those that work for us or with us will understand what I'm doing for another 10 to 15 years.
wow, cool. Well, looking forward to it.
Um, in the la in the, just to bring us to a close, I guess, what's your takeaway from this conversation?
My takeaway from this conversation is what I kind of just said, like I appreciate um the not just answering something to answer it, and to actually think through what this is and what this looks like for, the years to come. And not just as a podcast collaboration channel, but culture matters in general, which is what you just kind of said. But my takeaway is that you know, more gratitude really than anything. I think being a part of the day was really special. And I think, especially the fact that I knew a lot of the people on the show just from personal relationships, and then watching back the episodes that I wasn't on, knowing a lot of people on those episodes was really fun to watch and continue to learn from these people and what they do and how they do it and what the intention is. And this conversation, I liked it. But yeah, takeaway is gratitude, I guess.
If you're listening to this episode, please leave us a review on the Culture Matters podcast. The reviews are how we are going to grow this platform. They mean a lot to us. Jenna, thank you for coming on the show, and we will see you next time.